Have you ever pondered the question, what would happen if all the nuclear bombs were detonated at the same time? To begin, let's delve into what a nuclear bomb is and its enormous destructive power. At its core, a nuclear bomb is a weapon that uses nuclear reactions to release a colossal amount of energy in the form of an explosion. We've seen this destructive capability firsthand with the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki during World War II, which resulted in the deaths of over 200,000 people. Now you might be wondering, how many of these devastating weapons currently exist? The answer is chilling: approximately 13,000. That's right, there are around 13,000 nuclear warheads scattered across the globe, each with the capacity to cause destruction on an unimaginable scale. So, how does a nuclear bomb work? The science behind it involves two key nuclear reactions: fission and fusion. Fission is the process where a heavy atomic nucleus splits into two or more smaller nuclei, releasing a vast amount of energy. This is what happens in a typical atomic bomb. Fusion, on the other hand, is where two light atomic nuclei combine to form a heavier nucleus, releasing even more energy. This is the process that powers the sun and stars, and it's also what happens in a hydrogen bomb, the most powerful type of nuclear weapon. Imagine for a moment the sun's energy. Now picture that energy concentrated into a small, man-made device. That's the terrifying power of a nuclear bomb. A single one has the potential to obliterate an entire city, cause countless casualties, and leave a long-lasting impact on the environment and the health of survivors. So we understand the immense power of a single nuclear bomb, but what happens when all of them detonate simultaneously? Tune in for the next part of our journey, where we'll explore the immediate impact of such a cataclysmic event. Imagine for a moment the unimaginable: every nuclear bomb on Earth detonating at the same time. Now, let's delve into the immediate impact of this catastrophic event. Picture the combined power of thousands of nuclear bombs erupting in unison. The first thing that would occur is the formation of an enormous fireball. This fireball, hotter than the sun's surface, would scorch everything in its path, instantly vaporizing structures, landscapes, and unfortunately, people too. Next comes the shockwave, a force so powerful, it would make the strongest hurricane seem like a gentle breeze. This shockwave would flatten cities, tear apart buildings, and wreak havoc on any standing infrastructure. The sheer force of the shockwave could crush concrete, bend steel, and shatter glass for hundreds of miles. Now let's talk about the human cost. The immediate casualties from the blast and the ensuing shockwave would be in the billions. Yes, you heard right, billions. Those close to the blast points would be instantly vaporized, while others further away would suffer from severe burns and injuries caused by the shockwave. But it doesn't stop there. A nuclear explosion of this magnitude would also release a massive amount of radiation. This radiation would be lethal to any living organism in its path, causing immediate death or severe sickness to those exposed. Think about the infrastructure too. Power plants, water treatment facilities, hospitals, all could be wiped out in an instant. This would leave survivors without clean water, electricity, or medical care, exacerbating the already dire situation. In the aftermath, we'd be left with a world in ruins. Cities would be flattened, forests reduced to cinders, and our once bustling world would be eerily quiet and desolate. That's the immediate impact, a scenario of devastation and loss, but what about the long-term effects? The aftermath of a worldwide nuclear detonation would not just be about the immediate destruction. It's a terrifying spectacle to imagine, but let's dive deeper into the long-term consequences of such an event. The environmental and health effects would be profound and enduring. You see, when a nuclear bomb detonates, it releases radioactive particles into the atmosphere. These particles, known as fallout, don't just vanish. They linger, contaminating the environment for years, decades, even centuries. Rain would carry these particles to the ground, poisoning our soils, our waters, our crops. The very fabric of life as we know it would be tainted. But the fallout does more than just poison the earth, it poisons us. Radiation sickness would become a new norm. Symptoms range from nausea and vomiting to severe blood disorders and cancer. And it doesn't stop there. The radiation can damage reproductive cells, leading to genetic mutations in future generations. It's a grim picture indeed. But there's more. Let's talk about the world's climate. A worldwide nuclear detonation would throw up so much dust and smoke into the atmosphere that it'd block out sunlight. The Earth's temperature would drop, leading to what's known as a nuclear winter. Crops would fail, animals would die, ecosystems would collapse. The knock-on effects of this climate change would be catastrophic and far-reaching. There's also the socio-economic impact to consider. Infrastructure would be destroyed, economies would collapse, societies would disintegrate, millions, if not billions, would be displaced, leading to a refugee crisis of unimaginable proportions. In the face of such devastation, it might seem like the world would never recover. And yet, life has a remarkable way of persisting. But the question remains, can humanity survive such an event? The long-term consequences are as devastating as the immediate impact, if not more. But can humanity survive such an event? In the wake of such immense devastation, one question lingers. Can humanity survive? Picture this. The world as we know it has been fundamentally altered, our familiar landscapes replaced by a post-nuclear wasteland. The challenges facing survivors in this new world are daunting, to say the least. First, let's consider food production. In a world where the soil is saturated with radiation, growing crops becomes a Herculean task. Traditional farming methods would likely yield inedible, contaminated produce. Survivors would need to innovate, possibly turning to indoor hydroponic farming systems. However, the resources needed to set up these systems are substantial, and the yield may not be enough to sustain a large population. Next, there's healthcare. With the infrastructure of hospitals and medical facilities decimated, immediate and long-term medical care would be severely compromised. The risk of radiation sickness and other illnesses would skyrocket, while the ability to treat these conditions would plummet. A simple cut could turn deadly without proper medical attention. Rebuilding society in a contaminated environment is a monumental task. Without a functioning government or economy, law and order could break down. Survivors would need to form new social structures and systems to maintain order and work towards rebuilding. But what about fallout shelters or other protected environments? These could provide a temporary solution, offering protection from radiation and a controlled environment for survival. But these shelters are limited in size and resources. They can't support large populations indefinitely. Some might argue that humanity's ingenuity and resilience could see us through. After all, we've faced and overcome countless challenges throughout our history. But this would be a challenge unlike any other. The sheer scale of devastation and the long-term effects of radiation contamination would test our survival skills to the limit. The survival question is complex and depends on numerous factors, but it's clear that such an event would alter the course of human history forever. So we've painted a grim picture, but it's not without purpose. The prospect of a world where all nuclear bombs detonate simultaneously is terrifying, but it serves as a stark reminder of the profound importance of nuclear disarmament. It's more than just an idealistic pursuit, it's a critical necessity for our shared future, for the preservation of our planet and the survival of all its inhabitants. Nuclear disarmament is the process of reducing the number, types, and capabilities of nuclear weapons in the world. It's a complex, challenging, and often politically fraught task. Yet it's a path that many nations and international organizations tirelessly tread in the pursuit of a safer and more peaceful world. The United Nations, for instance, plays a pivotal role in promoting peace and preventing nuclear war. Through its various bodies and assemblies, it fosters dialogue, promotes cooperation, and negotiates treaties aimed at reducing the nuclear threat. Its efforts are complemented by those of many other international organizations and initiatives, all working towards the shared goal of a world free of nuclear weapons. One of the most significant achievements in this regard is the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. This international treaty, which came into effect in the late 20th century, has been instrumental in curbing the spread of nuclear weapons. It has also fostered cooperation in the peaceful use of nuclear energy and laid the groundwork for ongoing disarmament negotiations. Yet, despite these efforts, the road to total nuclear disarmament remains long and strewn with obstacles. Political tensions, security concerns, and technological advancements present ongoing challenges. Yet it's a journey we must continue to undertake. For the alternative, a world where the specter of nuclear annihilation looms large, is simply too grim to contemplate. The power to prevent such a catastrophic event lies in our hands. It's a reminder of the immense responsibility we carry in the nuclear age.